Hey everyone, this is the Five Nights at Freddy's story here, and today, a few days ago, my friend requested me to watch the full story of Five Nights at Wario's. So yeah, I'm gonna watch the whole entire video. Also, if you want to know who requested me this, it's Santa Jack Fan 101. Make sure to uh make sure you subscribe to his channel. I'll put the link below. And yeah, let's get into this. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. We're starting with www Wario presents the full story Five Nights at Wario's part 1. Original story video music by Assassin's. I don't have time to read all of this. Let's get started. Written and edited by www Wario. Chapter 1. The introduction.
Years ago, I watched a video from Markiplier, a YouTuber I checked in on from time to time whenever I wanted an entertaining horror game let's play. One video caught my interest, and obviously the interest of many others, especially when the title was Warning, Scariest Game in Years.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's became a cultural phenomenon, and who could have foreseen what would grow out of this one indie game? One thing I noticed was that there were several elements that looked familiar in this game. Stuff like fading transitions between scenes would freeze any ongoing animations, etc.
Freddy Fazbear's
all
Pizza.
This was stuff I was familiar with from ClickTeam Fusion, the game developer software I had been using and playing around with for years. So I started to put the pieces together and got the idea that this amazing game was made with the same software I was using. That's when I started to play around with ClickTeam in new ways, seeing if I could make something similar to Five Nights at Freddy's. And from there, just for fun, I thought I'd turn it into a full game, just for a test, featuring the character in my username, Wario. And the rest is history.
Whoa, okay.
I'm one who loves writing stories. How good I am at this, at writing, is another question, but I've always loved writing, and so I used this opportunity to make a branching parallel story, you could say, to Five Nights at Freddy's, with elements that were similar in the basics, but took its very own turn as time went on.
Oh my goodness, that's really creepy.
To get certain thoughts along
Why
the way,
does Luigi have
such
black
as how
eyes?
silly it really was to put so much thought into a dark, complex story in a fan game featuring Super Mario characters.
Yep. Up there, all the Mario characters.
Where I think anything
including
in a story
Bowser and Yoshi
can be embraced and given a reason
Wario
to exist and being the way it is. Is something seemingly stupid, silly, nonsensical? Then give it a reason for being that way. Maybe it can enhance the story in ways you didn't think about before. Not everything even has to make sense as long as it gives the player an experience and a reaction of something. That is why you can love instrumental music, for example, without having any lyrics or story attached to it whatsoever. And that is also true for Five Nights at Wario's. As silly as the idea of all it sounds, I tried, as time went on, to give it a reason for being exactly the way it is. Which actually turned out to be one of the most important factors of this entire story in the end.
Wario has white eyes and a scheming smile.
Now. Here, I intend to explain the entire plot of my Five Nights at Wario's series.
Yep.
A game series consisting of 6 games in total.
That's a great effect there.
There's a lot going on in this story, so if you have played through all the games, it'll be easier to follow. There may be certain details I exclude, and if so, the reason for it is because I don't find it important enough to mention, or that the details are already in the game in one form or another, or that I simply want to leave it up for you to find out or interpret on your own. That being
There's a
said, I want
question
to
mark in
explain
the...
as much as I can, but be warned, once I tell you, I cannot untell you.
The question mark is
That is not
getting
to say that
really
this is a
close.
marvelous,
And
fantastically
it
written
faded
story,
away.
or even a good story as a whole, but rather that things, certain things, being kept in the dark is an actual part of the plot and the experience of the games.
That's
Imagination
neat.
plays a big part in certain stories,
Outer
and
space
revealing
and
answers narrows
there's a
down that
person
imagination.
right there.
So if you want to keep it that way, you can always click away. But if not, grab something good to eat and drink, sit back, and let me tell you about this story I've tried to write over the years. One I've had so...
This is very creepy. Mario has white eyes and his face isn't shown and in a dark area. That's really creepy.
much fun with. This will be a very long one. My
Whoa, my
longest video ever
goodness.
made, in
Wario
fact.
just came out of the
Whether or
television.
not the universe of Five Nights at Wario's will continue or not in the future is hard to say at the moment of
Goodness,
writing
that's
this.
really creepy.
But the actual game series of Five Nights at Wario's has come to a fitting end. And so I found it fitting to conclude that with this video. Try to keep up, because at the very end, a lot of things may just click into place for you. Let us begin.
Yep. Chapter 2. Greed.
This is a world, seemingly realistic, although with people and creatures in all shapes and forms.
Yep, you got all of the main cast. Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, the two princesses, Wario, I forgot who that guy is, Bowser, and Toad. And why does that character have an upside down L?
Many of these characters are ones we know about. Super Mario and all that which accompanies him
Yep.
in his journeys. In this world, however, they are not quite the same as we know them. They are not the goofy, funny stereotypes we've grown to love, but rather flesh and blood people with desires and dreams and lives.
Yeah, this is a rare or common thing that people take like these friendly animatronic characters or friendly video game characters and turn them into one of these murderous people or murderous monsters.
Their own. This story is not about Mario, however, but his more greedy counterpart, Wario, and how his greed took him and many others down a dark path. The year is 1988. Wario and his friend Waluigi.
According to the Fazbacks, the scrap ones from FNAF AR, that was the year that the third Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria opened to the public. It was successful on the public side, but yes, someone said that it's very successful on the public side, but on the business side, it is failing.
A loyal yet nitpicky and semi-greedy man had just opened up Wario's.
And I bet this person is the counterpart of Luigi.
A small diner/cafe where they sold a special type of hamburger that Wario himself had created. This secret recipe he used gave the burgers a unique, sweet, multi-flavored taste. Wario himself decided to sit guard at the first night of the week to make sure his own creation stayed safe. He couldn't take the risk of leaving it alone in the dark. This secret recipe started to attract customers from everywhere, and the rumor of an insanely delicious and cheap hamburger was spreading like wildfire.
Oh, nice.
It's safe to say that the two men made a profit grander than they could ever imagine. Years and years of solid income and the two proud owners started to plan out the next big step in their business. A factory, one that can mass-produce their unique product, as well as potential new products of the same quality. Enter 2004, 16 years later, and Wario's fast food factory is standing tall and ready, majestic and powerful in sturdy brown bricks. Wario had bought a piece of land that was very central, very big, and yet it had remained unpurchased for as long as he could remember.
Wow, it looks really empty. There are a bunch of clouds in the sky, and I don't know what this thing is, but it looks like a wiring pole, and a bunch of forests in the background. The grasses are starting to grow out of the concrete. There is a traffic cone right there in the middle of it, and it looks like that the grass are growing from the concrete.
Strange, he thought. So naturally, this was the perfect spot to build his factory, and it didn't take long until he got the approval to do so. In this world, the people we know as Mario and Luigi exist as normal people as well. Italian men dedicated to hard work. Here, the four people and Mario's current wife, Peach Toadstool, were all close friends, and so, when the factory needed more manpower to keep up with the factory's huge production.
Oh, so you're telling me that back then Mario and Wario were friends at the time, or do I put it business partners at the time? But what made them turn to enemies? We have to find out.
The two Mario brothers and Toadstool were all hired with exceptionally good payment.
Oh,
Production was going very well, and sales were skyrocketing.
this is a sign that a business is doing well. If the chart is like this, that means it's going well. But if the chart is like this, of if if the chart is the exact opposite and the line is scrolling down like that, or if the lines are going down, then that means the business is not doing very well.
For a while, that was. As time passed, the sales were starting to drop, slowly but surely.
Yeah, see this blue line? Yeah, if the blue line is like that, then that means the business starts to become a huge downfall.
The interest in Wario's hamburger that were sold around various stores were fading away, and Wario, being a man who was attracted to the concept of wealth through money, was naturally starting to feel the panic creeping up his back, ready to attack on the day they would no longer make a profit big enough to sustain the factory production. So what did he do? It was something he, nor anyone else, could have foreseen. At the end of a cold day at work, Wario was closing the factory and was about to head home for the day, when he noticed something he had never noticed before.
Wow. This is like the scariest attempt to walk alone in the dark outside. You would never know what kind of entities or shadows are hiding. They might sneak up behind you or surprise you. And this is very eerie and kind of disturbing looking, but him walking home that night from the factory is scary enough.
In the dirt, barely sticking out of the ground next to one of the factory walls, was an object that seemed to resemble a book. It naturally caught Wario's attention. Had this been here all the time? Or had someone placed it there recently? Either way, he went over to pick it up. It was stuck in the ground and he had to pull it out with lots of force. Shocked over what he was looking at, he could not stop staring at this old, smelly, worn-down book he was holding in his hands. Strange symbols of horns, teeth and other drawings he couldn't interpret filled the cover. But there was no text on the cover. And so he opened it up and started to skim through it. In here he saw drawings and ancient writings that, surprisingly, still used a...
I kind of like how he added some screaming in the background when Wario opened up the book. It's extremely a common thing for horror films that you hear a bunch of screaming, especially a lot of children screaming, even though they aren't really there, which is very eerie and creepy.
similar language as the one they used in the present day. The book could only be interpreted as a witch book or a ritual book, seemingly from centuries ago. Wario was skeptical and felt uneasy how a book like this could end up in his property. That was until he came across what seemed to be a type of wish-granting ritual, accompanied by a drawing. The drawing caught Wario's attention and turned his fear into deep lust. The drawing showed several people dancing around a pile of money, food, gold, diamonds, crystals, weapons. It could all be Wario.
Whoa. A lot of people dancing around with a bunch of pile of stacked gold. That this could be a gift or it could be a curse. It's people are worshipping the gold. And Wario's eyes are like his pupils have gone small and his white eyes have gone big. Now he's smiling with a huge grin on his face.
He could have it all in his own hands. All that was required was a sacrifice of the people closest to him. Although it mentioned nothing about what the sacrifice meant in detail. What should he do? Let the factory, his life's work, be destroyed, leaving him and his friends unemployed and ruined? Or could he just say a few words and get whatever riches he wanted? Was it a selfish or selfless action? According to himself, it had to be selfless, right? He couldn't even begin to admit to himself that he may just have done something cruel to the people closest to him, just for wealth. Because he did go through with it. Deep down in the factory's underground corridors, in a small room in the very depths of the cellar, he went through with a ritual. A ritual spell was activated. He could feel it, an uneasy feeling, lingering in the air as he went home.
Okay, we're almost like 13 minutes into the video I am watching, and this theory video is slowly turning into one of those creepy pasta stories that you hear. And it's very great that he put a tunnel in one of the backgrounds and purple magic with Wario. And now in this one, Wario is in a dark alley on the streets in a town somewhere. Yep. Chapter 3, Karma.
He didn't tell them a thing. But it was okay, wasn't it? It would save the company, it would save their jobs. It would make him richer than ever. And lo and behold, the next day, they got a report that sales had started to skyrocket once again. Mario, Luigi, Waluigi, and Peach Toadstool all questioned what had happened, of course, but all Wario could give them was an shoulder-rising, I don't know look.
Whoa. It really skyrocketed it that they can't even finish drawing the line. It ended right there. It ended up so high that he couldn't continue drawing the blue line.
But no one questioned it any further, because from that day on, things were going better than ever. Only Wario himself knew that something sinister might be behind the sudden increase in profit. But how could he know for sure? How could he know the ritual was real? Or if this was all just a coincidence? He couldn't. So the thought of the book slipped more and more into the back of his mind, taking up less and less space in his head.
I like how the door
He
says
felt
his name
comfortable
on it.
that his friends didn't know about the potential reason behind what has happened. But he was wrong. He was not the only one who knew. Wario had hidden the book away in the deep basement of the factory, hoping no one would ever find it. But someone had watched him take the book downstairs. Luigi was observing Wario carrying this mysterious artifact downstairs.
A really empty hallway with one staircase. Wow. It looks like a sky tunnel, but with windows and walls on the side.
The day he activated the ritual. And so, one day, when no one was around to see him, Luigi decided to sneak down into the depths below, through the underground corridors of the factory, to see what he was hiding down there. Here he found the book, and he read through it. Shocked and fearful, he started to get an idea of what might have happened. But due to his good heart and careful nature, he said nothing to anyone, and continued on as if he knew nothing. And he treated Wario just like before, like a friend whom he trusted. And he could not know for sure exactly what Wario had done. In 2007, everything changed, and a massive chain of events were about to unfold. The quiet before the storm was coming to an end, when a man named Bruno Gates broke into the fast food factory one cold evening to steal the secret recipe used in the hamburgers. His motivation for the break-in? All we know at this
Ah, we couldn't see his face, and his eyes are white, but I'm pretty sure he has black pupils and the ear in hiding in the shadows. In a creepy dark alley.
point is the lust for money through the value of the recipe. He put on a big mascot costume he found in the factory, a costume known as Wario Man, in order to sneak around while staying anonymous. What he didn't know, however, was that Wario himself was present in the factory as well. And before he could locate the recipe, he suddenly found himself face to face with Wario himself in a corridor. Bruno wished to stay safe, but he didn't have the intent of murder. But still, in blind panic and desperation,
Whoa.
Bruno Gate plunged a knife into Wario, killing him as his body fell backwards.
Whoa. This is dark. That that this person with a purple hat attempted to kill Wario
down his staircase, knocking out several teeth from the dying body in the process. Bruno felt a rush of adrenaline like never before. He just took someone's life. He couldn't fully process it, and thus all he could feel was a sense of satisfaction.
Okay, this is getting really creepy. He looks just like Wario. Well, at least the mustache, the nose, the eyes, but he is holding a signature murderous object known as a knife. This is really creepy.
He felt powerful, unstoppable, and closer to his goal. A door down the corridor opened up, and the sound of the metallic rust screeched down the hallway. As it turned out, all 5 workers were present in the factory, something not foreseen by Mr. Gates, considering the time of day. There was only one thing he could do. One by one, they got slaughtered. There could be no witnesses. He had to remain anonymous and safe. The last one standing was Luigi. But he did not run away, nor did he panic. He was simply in shock over what had happened in front of him, before a sudden wave of acceptance rushed over him. Lost in thought, he walked up to Bruno. Still lost in all of the things he had to take in, he finally looked up into his face, directly into Bruno's eyes, and almost whispered, "I know what he did." Bruno got a brief moment where he snapped out of his delirious rage and looked genuinely confused. Luigi continued with, "Do it," and pointed to a rope hanging above them. Luigi knew. Not in detail, not in the specifics, but he knew Wario did something with that book. And so, he let himself get killed, in the hope that whatever Wario did, it would be broken or cancelled if all of their lives were taken away. And since he was the only one left, with his friends laying dead in front of him on the floor, he accepted his death with open arms, all for the sake of the greater good. Everything was quiet once more. Bruno, standing with the blood-dripping knife in his hand, was trying to process the events that had just unfolded. But he resisted the thoughts storming into his mind. He pushed them aside. He could not deal with this now. For now, he had to find the recipe before it was too late. And there it was, finally. Locked away in Wario's office, a classified envelope was hidden away. While he admired his discovery,
He found the files. He is holding a folder.
and was about to head for the exit, something else was going on. Luigi was wrong. His selfless intention did not lead to the result he thought. In fact, the opposite was true. The curse Wario had put upon himself and his friends got activated first now,
Whoa.
after their physical bodies turned lifeless. The book, hidden deep within the underground tunnels of Wario's factory, started to move, shake, twist and turn. The pages were being torn apart, flapping and flying across the room like a twister or a tornado was raging inside the room.
Someone triggered the book, and I think it just summoned a demon, some sort.
Then, it all went silent, before what looked like 6 purple puffs of smoke blew out of the book, one being quite larger than the rest. On the main floor, The bodies of the 5 workers were still in the hallway.
Well,
Their spirits, on the other hand, had not left to an eternal resting place. This was part of the deal, part of the pact, part of the ritual Wario went through with earlier on. The 5 seemingly invisible, glowing purple energy clouds floated in, towards the bodies, towards the lingering, confused spirits of the 5 workers. And as the curse itself attached itself to them, their souls got corrupt, hateful, rageful, and vengeful. They were not gone yet, after all. Not yet. Bruno was walking fast. He wanted to get out and, once outside, get out of this massive costume. But he never got that far. Meeting him in a hallway were the victims of his crime, back alive, standing up. Only something was clearly wrong, off. He froze on the spot, confused and terrified. But that was all he managed to do. He couldn't even think, before the zombie-like corpse of Wario dashed forward and killed Bruno Gates on the spot, leaving him dead on the floor, trapped inside his costume. Hell had been unleashed. A curse which was only the beginning had taken root in the spirits of the 5 factory workers. They did not hesitate. They turned around and walked out. The parasite that was attached to them kept them from feeling anything. Not any satisfaction, not any human emotion, not anything. All they felt was a lust for revenge. The curse had an effect of numbing everything else and
that's
embracing
creepy.
chaos instead. What was this spell? Where did this energy, this curse come from? Does it have a reason for being here, for existing in the first place? All we know is that Wario's lifelong dream had become a nightmare for many others than himself, trapped in his dead body, while his inmost core was transformed into a monster.
Okay, we're gonna stop right there. So, yeah. Wario's factory was failing to a drop, but when he discovered the book, it started skyrocketing again, and this guy named, Bruno went on a rampage of killing Wario and the other workers. Luigi told him to do it, like pulling the noose, ending Luigi's life. And then the book started to be activated and the spirit starts taking over their body. And since then they start getting their revenge. So yeah, I'm gonna stop right here, and I hope you enjoy this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, everyone.